The words hung in the air like smoke from a dying fire. My heart belongs to my ex. She said it at dinner, fork halfway to her mouth, as casually as commenting on the weather. He watched her across the table, the woman he'd built a life with for 7 years, and felt something fundamental crack inside his chest. He didn't yell, didn't throw anything, didn't demand explanations. He simply stood, placed his napkin beside his untouched plate, and walked upstairs to their bedroom. By morning, he'd made the calls. The realtor arrived Tuesday. The estate sale company came Wednesday. By Friday, movers were loading trucks with furniture that held 1,000 memories. The couch where they'd watched storms through the window, the bed where they'd whispered promises in the dark, the dining table where she just shattered everything. She watched from the doorway, confusion creasing her face. "What are you doing?" "What you already did," he replied, not looking up from the box he was packing. "Leaving." "I didn't say I was leaving. I needed to be honest about my feelings." Now he did look at her. Really looked. The woman standing there seemed like a stranger wearing his wife's face. Honesty without context is just cruelty. "You made your choice. I'm making mine. You're being dramatic. Can't we talk about this?" But there was nothing left to say. She'd already said it all with 5 words. The house sold in 4 days, cash offer as is. He took the money and disappeared into a furnished apartment across town. Bare walls and borrowed furniture. A place with no history. No ghosts. She called 17 times that first week. He answered none of them. Then came the party. Her best friend Victoria was getting married, and somehow he still received an invitation. He shouldn't have gone. Should have thrown the card away and moved on with the systematic dismantling of their shared existence. But something drew him there. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the need for closure. Maybe just the human impulse to pick at wounds that haven't healed. He arrived late, slipping into the venue's crowded ballroom unnoticed. The celebration was already in full swing. Music, laughter, champagne flowing like water. He spotted her immediately, instinct pulling his gaze across the room like a magnet. She stood near the bar, and she wasn't alone. The man beside her was everything he remembered from the photos she kept hidden in old boxes. Tall, confident, with the kind of easy smile that came from never being told no. Her ex, the one her heart apparently belonged to. They weren't touching, but the space between them crackled with something electric and wrong. He watched them for exactly 3 minutes. Watched her laugh at something the ex said. Watched her hand flutter nervously to her throat. Watched the ex lean in close, whispering something that made all the color drain from her face. That's when he saw it, the fear in her eyes. Not love. Not longing. Terror. Then she was moving, weaving through the crowd toward the exit. The ex followed, casual but deliberate. A hunter tracking prey. He should have walked away. Should have let whatever drama unfold without him. Instead, he followed them both into the night. By midnight, she had vanished completely. No one had seen her leave. Her car sat untouched in the parking lot. Her phone went straight to voicemail. By dawn, the rumors started spreading like wildfire through their old social circle. Affair. Betrayal. She'd finally run away with the ex she'd never stopped loving. But he remembered that look in her eyes. That wasn't the face of a woman following her heart. That was the face of a woman running for her life. 3 days passed with no word, no sightings, no trace. The police took a statement, but their eyes said what their mouths wouldn't. Woman runs off with her ex-boyfriend. Husband feels abandoned. Tale as old as time. They promised to look into it with the enthusiasm of people filing paperwork they'd never touch again. Victoria called him on the 4th day, voice shaking. "Did you see her leave the party? Did she say anything to you?" "I saw her with him," he admitted. "With Damien." A sharp intake of breath. "Damien was there?" "She told me he couldn't make it." She seemed relieved about it. That word, relieved, lodged in his brain like a splinter. He started digging. It felt pathetic at first, like a jealous husband stalking his ex-wife's social media. But what he found wasn't romantic messages or secret rendezvous plans. It was fear, carefully hidden. Her email account, he still knew the password, contained dozens of messages from Damien spanning the last 6 months. They'd started friendly enough, just checking in. "Hope you're well. Remember that summer in Barcelona?" Then they shifted. Saw you at the grocery store yesterday. You look tired. Is he taking care of you? I still have those photos from your college years. The ones you asked me to delete. Found them on an old hard drive. We should talk. Your boss seems nice. Robert, right? Wonder what he'd think about your little incident in Boston. The messages grew darker, more insistent. Veiled threats wrapped in nostalgia. References to something from her past, something in Boston, something that could apparently destroy her present. She'd never mentioned Boston. Never mentioned any incident. He found her journal in a box he'd packed, but never delivered to storage. The latest entries made his blood run cold. He knows. He's always known. I thought I could outrun it, but the past doesn't work that way. I have to tell the truth, but I can't tell the truth. If I tell him I'm being blackmailed, Damien will release everything. If I don't, I lose him anyway. Maybe if I push him away first, it won't hurt as much when everything falls apart. Maybe if he hates me, he won't try to save me. That dinner, those 5 terrible words, it hadn't been a confession of love for another man. It had been a desperate attempt to drive him away before the explosion. He called Victoria back. What happened in Boston? When she was in college. Silence stretched across the line. Then, quietly, that's not my story to tell. But there was an accident. A bad one. She's never forgiven herself for it. Was someone hurt? Someone died. Victoria's voice cracked. It was ruled an accident. No charges. But she was there. She was driving. And Damien was in the car. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Damien had been there. Damien knew exactly what happened. Damien had spent 6 months turning that knowledge into a weapon. And she tried to protect him, her husband, by destroying their marriage first. He found Damien's address through her old contacts. An upscale condo downtown, the kind of place that screamed success and shallow charm. The door was unlocked when he arrived. That should have been the first warning. Inside, the apartment was immaculate. Too immaculate. No lived-in feeling, no personal touches beyond strategically placed photos designed to project success. It looked like a stage set. He found the laptop in the bedroom, still open. The screen showed an email draft unsent. If you're reading this, it means something went wrong. The storage unit on Maple Street, number 247. That's where you'll find what you need. The code is her birthday. She deserves better than my silence. The email was addressed to him. His hands shook as he copied the information. Storage unit number 247. Her birthday, August 15th, 92. The facility was 20 minutes away. The unit opened with a metallic groan, revealing boxes stacked neatly against the walls. Files, photos, records, evidence. The storage unit smelled like dust and secrets left to rot. He pulled the first box toward him, hands unsteady in the dim fluorescent light. Inside, newspaper clippings, police reports, photos that made his stomach turn. Boston. 11 years ago. A rainy November night. The headline read, "College student dies in single vehicle crash, driver not charged." The photo showed a crumpled sedan wrapped around a telephone pole. Below it, a smaller image, a young man's face, smiling in what was probably a yearbook photo. Nathan Grayson, age 20, declared dead at the scene. The police report was thorough. Wet roads, inexperienced driver, speed appropriate for conditions, no alcohol involved. Tragic accident, nothing more. But underneath the official documents, he found something else. A USB drive, labeled in handwriting he didn't recognize. The real story. His phone still had battery. He plugged in the drive. The video that loaded was dated the night of the accident. Dashboard camera footage from another car, recovered but apparently never submitted as evidence. The timestamp showed 11:47 p.m. The video showed her car. He recognized it from old photos, driving normally down a rain-slick street. Then another car appeared, weaving erratically. Not her car. A dark SUV. The SUV swerved into her lane. She overcorrected. The sedan hydroplaned, spun, and Damien's car appeared in frame, striking them from behind, sending her vehicle into the pole. The SUV never stopped, never even slowed, and Damien's car, visible for just 3 seconds in the grainy footage, pulled away into the night. He sat back, mind reeling. She hadn't been at fault. Damien had been there, had possibly even caused the crash. and then fled the scene. But why would she take the blame? Why would she protect him? The next file held the answer. A written statement, dated 2 weeks after the accident. Her handwriting, younger and shakier than he knew it. I can't remember what happened. The police say I was driving. Damien says he wasn't there. My parents say it doesn't matter now, that Nathan is dead and nothing will bring him back. The prosecutor says I'm lucky, no charges because it was an accident. But I remember headlights. I remember impact from behind. I remember Damien's voice saying, "Don't tell them I was here. Please. I'll lose my scholarship, my whole future, please." I don't know what's real anymore. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Maybe the trauma is making me paranoid. But if I say Damien was there and I can't prove it, who will believe me? Who wants to believe the girl who just killed someone? So I'll stay quiet. I'll take the guilt. I'll live with it. Maybe that's what I deserve anyway. He read it 3 times, each word hammering home the scope of Damien's manipulation. For 11 years, she carried guilt for a death that wasn't her fault. For 6 months, Damien had held that guilt over her head like a blade. The last box contained something recent. Printed emails, messages, even recordings. Damien's blackmail, meticulously documented. And at the bottom, a letter. Addressed to him. Written in her handwriting, dated the day before the party. If you're reading this, I've made my choice. I'm going to confront Damien. I'm going to tell him I don't care anymore what he releases, that I'm done being afraid. I should have told you everything. I should have trusted you with my worst moments instead of just my best ones. But I was so ashamed of the accident, of the guilt, of the weakness that let Damien control me. I said my heart belonged to my ex because I thought it would hurt less than the truth that my past belonged to my ex, and he was using it to destroy my future. I'm sorry for the lie, for the cowardice, for not being brave enough to let you love all of me, even the broken parts. If I don't come back from this, know that the only heart I ever truly gave away was to you. Even when I was too scared to admit it, his vision blurred. The letter trembled in his hands. She'd gone to face Damien alone, 3 days ago, and no one had seen her since. He was already calling the police when he noticed the final item in the box. A photo recent. She stood in front of Damien's building, taken from a distance. On the back, written in different handwriting, masculine, harsh, "I always know where to find you." He checked the timestamp on the photo file. 2 days after she vanished. Damien had her, and he wanted someone to know. The police detective listened with barely concealed skepticism until he produced the USB drive. The dashboard footage played on a laptop in the precinct's harsh fluorescent light, and something shifted in the room's atmosphere. This was never submitted as evidence, Detective Walsh asked, her pen hovering over a notepad. Apparently not. I found it in a storage unit. He pushed the boxes of documents across the desk. Damien Graves was there the night of the accident. He may have caused it, and he's been blackmailing my wife for 6 months. Walsh's expression hardened as she reviewed the emails, the messages, the recordings. And she went to confront him 3 days ago. No one's seen her since. But you said you received an invitation to, Walsh checked her notes, a wedding party where she disappeared. She was there, with him. Then they both left and she vanished. Walsh made a call. 15 minutes later, 2 officers were dispatched to Damien's condo. They found it empty. Cleared out. Lease terminated that morning. He's running, Walsh said, hanging up her phone. We've issued a bolo. His credit cards, phone records, will find him. But they didn't. Damien had planned this carefully. No electronic trail. No witnesses. No trace. Until Victoria called again, voice tight with fear. I found something at the venue. The wedding coordinator was cleaning and found a phone in the garden. It's hers. It was hidden under a bush. He met Victoria at the venue within 20 minutes. The phone screen was shattered, but it still powered on. The last message, unsent, was in her drafts. He's taking me to the lake house. Nathan's family's lake house. He said it's time I faced what I did. I'm scared. If you get this, please. The message cut off there. Nathan's family had a lake house, he asked Victoria. North of a city. About 2 hours. It's been abandoned since the accident. The family couldn't bear to go back. He was moving before Walsh could tell him to wait for backup. The drive took 90 minutes, pushing speed limits on empty highways. The sun was setting when he found the address, a weathered structure set back from a gray, choppy lake. Damien's car sat in the overgrown driveway. He approached quietly, phone in his pocket recording everything. The front door hung open. Inside, the house was a time capsule of grief. Photos of Nathan on every wall. Dust-covered furniture. The smell of abandonment. Voices came from the back deck. "You need to say it." Damien's voice, hard and cold. "You need to confess what you did." "I didn't do anything." Her voice, ragged but defiant. "You did. You were drunk. You hit us. Nathan died because of you." "That's not how anyone remembers it. That's not what's in the police report. Because I was too scared to tell the truth. I was 20 years old, and you convinced me I'd go to jail if I blamed you. You said no one would believe me." He eased closer, staying in shadows. Through the window, he could see them. She sat in a chair, hands bound. Damien paced in front of her like a lawyer presenting a case. "I gave you a gift," Damien said. "I let you be the victim instead of the villain. And how do you repay me? By threatening to expose everything. It wasn't a gift. It was a prison. For 11 years, I've lived with guilt that wasn't mine to carry. And now you want to what? Tell everyone the truth. Destroy my reputation because you grew a conscience. I want to be free." Damien laughed, bitter and sharp. "Free? You think telling your husband makes you free? He left you. Sold everything. He doesn't want your truth. He deserves it anyway." That's when he stepped onto the deck. "You're right. I do." Damien spun, surprise flickering across his face before shifting to calculation. "Well, the wronged husband appears. Come to save her. Come to finish this." Brave words. But you're outnumbered and outmaneuvered. No one knows you're here. No one's coming to help. Wrong on both counts. Walsh's voice cut through the twilight. "Damien Graves, you're under arrest." Police emerged from the tree line, from around the house, weapons drawn. Damien's face went slack with disbelief. Walsh had followed him, had given him just enough lead to find her, then brought backup. As officers moved in, Damien made a last, desperate lunge, not toward escape, but toward her, hands reaching for her throat. He intercepted, muscle memory from forgotten self-defense classes kicking in. They went down hard on the deck, Damien thrashing with the strength of panic. Then officers pulled Damien away, cuffing him as he screamed about how it wasn't his fault, how she'd made him do this, how everyone would believe him over her. But the phone in his pocket had recorded everything. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft beep of monitors. She'd been dehydrated, bruised, traumatized, but alive. The doctors said she'd recover fully with time. He sat in the chair by her bed, watching her sleep. She looked younger somehow, as if confessing the truth had peeled away years of accumulated weight. When her eyes finally opened, they found him immediately. "You came," she whispered. "You knew I would." A tear slipped down her cheek. "I told myself you wouldn't, that I'd pushed you too far away. You tried to." He leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Those words you said at dinner. I've had time to think about them." She closed her eyes. "I'm sorry. I thought if you hated me, Damien couldn't hurt you. I thought. You thought wrong." The words came out harder than intended. He softened his voice. "But I understand why you did it. Do you?" Her eyes opened again, searching his face. "Because I don't know if I do. I've made so many mistakes. 11 years of carrying his lie. 6 months of letting him control me. And when I finally found the courage to fight back, I did it in the worst possible way. You were scared. I was a coward. You were manipulated by someone who spent over a decade making you believe you were guilty of killing someone." He reached for her hand, then hesitated. "Can I?" She nodded. Her fingers were cold in his. "The police found everything," he continued. "The dash cam footage, Damien's blackmail, all of it. The DA is reopening Nathan's case. They'll charge Damien with vehicular manslaughter, leaving the scene, obstruction of justice, plus kidnapping and assault for what he did to you. Nathan's family? Walsh contacted them. They want to meet with you. They said." He paused, emotion catching in his throat. "They said they always knew something didn't add up about the accident. They're relieved to finally have the truth." She started crying then, deep sobs that shook her whole body. He held her hand through it, saying nothing because there was nothing to say. Some wounds needed tears, not words. When she finally quieted, she asked the question he'd been dreading. Where do we go from here? He'd thought about it constantly for 3 days. Through the search, the confrontation, the endless police interviews. Sitting in the hospital waiting room, he'd made lists of reasons to walk away and reasons to stay. The truth was simpler than any list. I sold our house, he said. Sold most of our furniture. Dismantled the life we built. I know. Her voice was small. You had every right to. I thought I was making a clean break. Thought I was protecting myself from more pain. He met her eyes. But when you disappeared, none of that mattered. The house, the furniture, the possessions, they were just things. You were what mattered. Past tense. Present tense. You are what matters. Hope flickered in her expression, fragile as candlelight. Even after everything. Even knowing I lied to you. You lied to protect me from a threat I didn't know existed. That's different from lying to hurt me. It still broke us. Yeah. He couldn't deny that. It did. So what now? He pulled the chair closer to her bed. Now we start over. Not by pretending the last month didn't happen, but by learning from it. You learned to trust me with the hard truths. I learned to look deeper when something doesn't make sense. That's all. That's everything. He squeezed her hand gently. I don't need the house back. Don't need the furniture or the perfect life we performed for everyone else. I just need you. The real you. The one who carries guilt that isn't hers and still finds the courage to fight back. The one who tried to save me by breaking my heart. I don't know if I can be that person all the time. Good. I don't want perfection. I want partnership. I want honesty. Even when it's ugly. Especially when it's ugly. She was quiet for a long moment. Outside the window, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. I have trauma to work through, she finally said. 11 years of thinking I killed someone. 6 months of psychological torture. This doesn't just disappear. I know. We'll find you a therapist. A good one. And you? You have trauma too. From me. From this. Then we'll both get help. Together. You make it sound simple. It's not simple. It's the hardest thing we've ever done. He stood, leaning over to brush hair from her forehead. But I'd rather do hard things with you than easy things with anyone else. She caught his hand, pressed it to her cheek. I love you. I never stopped. Not even when I was trying to push you away. I know. I read your letter. You found the storage unit. Damien wanted me to. It was his insurance policy, proof that you'd kept evidence. But it backfired spectacularly. A weak laugh escaped her. He always was too clever for his own good. They sat in comfortable silence as the sun set deep into twilight. Nurses came and went. Somewhere down the hall a baby cried. Life continuing, indifferent to individual suffering. The apartment I'm in now, he said eventually. It's furnished. Temporary. I haven't signed a lease anywhere. So we could find a place together? Start fresh. If you want to. Somewhere smaller maybe. Easier to maintain. With a garden. I always wanted a garden. We can do that. She smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen in months. This feels like a beginning. It is. He kissed her forehead gently. Not the beginning we planned, but maybe the one we needed. To learn we're stronger than we thought. To learn that love isn't just the easy moments. It's choosing each other even when everything falls apart. Her fingers tightened around his. I choose you. Even though I already almost lost you. You didn't lose me. I was just misplaced for a while. She laughed again, stronger this time. That's one way to describe it. Outside, the stars were beginning to emerge. Inside, monitors beeped steadily, marking time, marking heartbeats, marking the fragile miracle of survival. It wouldn't be easy. There would be hard conversations ahead, therapy sessions, moments when the past threatened to overwhelm the present, days when trust felt impossible to rebuild. But they would face it together, not as the people they'd been, the one who carried silent guilt, the one who built walls with material possessions, but as who they were becoming. Two people who'd learned that sometimes love means breaking apart completely so you can rebuild stronger. Two people who'd discovered that the heart doesn't belong to anyone. It chooses, every day, through every hardship, and theirs had chosen each other. Again,